what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to, while I'm on the slide, I'm going to talk about a few more things. So turning the mics on and off is really important. That's one of the main things. And learning how to use the chat stream, which you guys have done already, which is fantastic. So I just want to ask, I just want to think about a couple of other things that are important. So it's things that you need to do at the beginning of an online lesson. You need to make sure you've got a book and a pen. And you may think, has this teacher lost his marbles? But just because you're online doesn't mean you won't be doing things and participating actively. So we know from research on learning that when students are active in the learning process, whether it's in class or online, they retain more. And so I would love for you to just take a moment and check that you've got a pen and a book with you. Okay. Now, Anya, I just want to bring you in because I've been talking a lot. Do you have any tips or suggestions maybe about that students need to think about in preparing their learning environment?
Okay, so guys, a few things. I work from home quite a lot, and something I find that helps quite a bit is to work at a dedicated workspace, so a table. So I see some of you that have got your videos on, you moving around in your house. Try to find a space in your house, whether it's in the kitchen or by the coffee table, in your room. Preferably not in a bed because you might just grab a nap, but a nice working space, that'll help quite a bit.
Yeah. So sitting up is always preferable, whereas lying down, lying down, you may just fall asleep. Okay. If you can, it also is fantastic if you can find a quiet space. Okay, so these are all things that you'll get better at every time we do this, but at a minimum, you've got a book and a pen, you've got a dedicated space where you can go each time, you're sitting up, and it's as quiet as possible. Okay, anything, Anya, you want to add apart from that? I think those are good general guidelines.
I think that's fine for now. If there's anything else or so, we'll flag it. But I think if we can just start with those basics, we are set and ready. And also for some of you, if you have siblings, sorry, sir, if you have siblings or so, just ask them if you can please, this is now your lesson time, just an hour that you need some quiet time. Perfect.
Now, there's one little bit of admin. I know we're doing a lot of admin, but I just want to get through and then we'll properly start the lesson. So some of you, actually, give me a thumbs up. If you were in the grade 7 class last year, give me a thumbs up in the chat. So I just want to see how many of you were in the group last year and how many of you are completely new. So thumbs up if you were here last year and thumbs down if you weren't here last year. Okay. Okay, so I see quite a few people who were here last year, which is fantastic. The only thing is there are some changes this year. The one thing is you'll notice that you have a different teacher, which is understandable. Okay, there are some people who weren't here last year too, which is fantastic. You have made the right decision and welcome to you. In terms of how we do the class every day, probably the most, or not every day, twice a week, the most important thing is that you get access to the Zoom call, right? Although you can watch it after the time, but the best thing is to be in the Zoom call. Now, in order to get the Zoom call link, you won't be sent that every time. And so I just want to go through this announcement from our admin staff. So Watobe has a new website and they're offering everyone a 2-week trial when you sign up on our website. So the website is really, really important this year. That's going to be the focus of a lot of our learning and how we coordinate our learning. So you go to watobe.co.za, as you can see here, and you ask your parent or caregiver to sign you up. That way you get a free trial, right? But you have to sign up to get it. Okay, so you have to sort of go through that process. And then you'll get your own brand new login name and password that gives you access to the live classes and quizzes every week on the website. So this is what's different to last year. Last year, you would get a lot of the stuff automatically sent to you. This year, once you sign up for the account, you will automatically get that information on the website. And so really, the key difference is this website focus. Okay. And then it just says here, get this done before Friday to make sure that you carry on attending the classes and quizzes. So you want to do it before Friday. What happened to the old Watobe app? You might be wondering. We don't use it anymore. Everything you need is now available by signing up and logging into the website. You will attend the class and access practice quizzes via the website only. So I just want to take a moment, because I've talked a lot now, to ask about any questions. I thought, Anya, I don't know if there was any hands. Did you see any hands?
Yeah, just one thing here. I saw, Kenneth, I saw your hand was up, but I see it's down now. Do you have anything you would like to ask or add?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you a moment to just ask any questions. I think it's most of you know how to sign up for something. But really the key thing here is the Watobe website is going to be the central place where you get your info. You log in and then you get that info, which is basically the link to the Zoom. Yep.
Sorry, Peter. Kenneth, I see you've unmuted. Is there anything you'd like to ask?
No.
Good. Okay, I think it's time to rock and roll, guys. Rock and roll. So I tell you what, I will do I think it's time. I think we're all itching for some maths. So let us go to this little challenge, and then I will tell you a little bit more about me after that. Now, I don't know if you've played the game Math 24 before. If you haven't, you're in for a treat. So the goal of Math 24 is to take the four numbers and use the operations plus, minus, times, and divide to get the number 24. And just to give our brains a little bit of a warm-up, a mathematical warm-up, I want everyone to try and get the sequence of operations that give you 24 here. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes to try and do that. And then once you feel like you've got it, could you please try and type it in the browser? So you'll type it in the browser or in the chat, sorry, the chat window, which is showing on the screen. Okay, so your 2 minutes starts now, and I want you to try and do this one over here. And if there are any questions, please, you can type them in the chat and I will answer, or Anya will answer. I'm just gonna get a glass of water because it's cooking in Cape Town. Cooking.
Okay, guys, so just on that note, try to get four numbers. You can either add them, subtract them, times them, divide them. It's 3, 4, 5, and 5, or no, rather the numbers at number A, which is 6, 8, 2, 2.
We can ignore, let's ignore these ones. So for the moment, all we're going to do is focus just on this one. It's just a little warm up. And so we are trying to see, now one way of doing this, if I go 5 plus 5, that gives me, so I've used two numbers. What's that? That's 10. And then 10, say 10 times 4 is 40. And now if I say minus 3, I've got 37 and I haven't managed to do it. So I didn't get it right the first time, but that's not going to discourage me. I will try again. But hopefully that kind of shows you the idea of the game. Like how do we combine these whole numbers in order to get 24? I see a couple of answers coming through. Ooh, I see. Aha. I think you're on the right track there, guys. So let's start with 5 times 5. What does that give us? 5 times 5. How do we go? So we've used those two numbers. How do we use these last two numbers to get to 24? We'll give you a little bit more time.
Just for those participating, if you can type in your answers in the chat. There we go. We've got Winile saying 5 times 5 minus 1. But the problem there is, Winile, we cannot use a 1. We can only use 3, 4, 5, and 5. But you've got the right thinking going on.
Ah.
There, Annalisa is given an option.
Annalisa, that looks good because, well, actually, no, hold on, you're close. 4 divided by 3 is 1 1/3, but you're on the right track. Instead of dividing 4 by 3, what can we do with 4 and 3 that gives us 1? 5 times, there's another answer, Jody. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 is 19, plus 5, I think you may have it. So Jody has got 5 times 5. Where was it? Sorry, 5 times 3 plus 4 plus 5. Let's just see if that's correct. So 5 times 3 is gone there, 15, plus 4 is 19. This is definitely one correct answer. What other ones can we get? 5 times 5 minus 4 times 3. That looks very impressive. 5 times 5 minus 4 plus 3. Have we used all 4 numbers? Yes. 25 minus 4 is 21 plus 3. Ah, well done. Well done, guys. Okay, you are on the ball. So you will see, I will keep coming back to this game because it's a wonderful game for just getting used to basic multiplications. And it's also a wonderful way to get your brain kind of, it's like my warm-up game. Aha. Kenneth, I think you have nailed it there too. 5 times 5 plus 3 is 28 minus 4. Fantastic. Ted, okay, you guys have smashed it. Okay, so we will come back to this later in the lesson, but you are winning at life. So I just want to tell you a little bit more about me so that you know who is actually teaching you. And then we will get to the maths. So just a little bit, I am down here in Cape Town, and so is Anya, but we've all kind of been to different parts of the country, and so we're quite happy to have everybody with us. And my career as a maths teacher, it's been almost 15 years now, guys, can you believe this, is that a lot of people think, in my experience, that you have maths people and you don't have maths people. I disagree. I think about maths as kind of like we think about exercise. If you go and practice, when you first start exercising, it always feels a little bit sore and you get a bit stiff at the beginning. But if you practice and if you go to the gym, you expect to get a bit stiff at times, or you expect to get tired if you run in the cross country. But there's no doubt that over time, if you keep practicing, you can build up that strength and that skill. And so the analogy that I will keep coming back to in my classes, because I really believe it, is that maths is a lot, or most things in life, when you learn them, are a lot like, going to the gym. Sure, the first time you go to the gym, if you haven't been, or the first time you run cross country, if you haven't done it before, you're gonna find it quite tough. Your body sends that signal, but that challenge that you're experiencing is actually the part of the learning process that gets you moving. And so that's kind of, you'll sense that coming through a lot in my lessons. My goal for the year is to use this approach for my cooking. I'm not a particularly good cook, but I know that if I just keep trying and I start with small things, and the first couple of times I might burn a few things, but I will get better. I believe in that process. And then just some other stuff about me. I love reading. I love the guitar. I love hiking, and I love playing tennis. So that is my thing. And Anya, just if you could give us a little bit about your background while I close the window, because it seems like there is a ambulance coming past outside.
Okay, so as Peter said, I'm also based here in Cape Town. I'm actually originally from Gqeberha in Eastern Cape. As you guys can see there, I've got 2 lovely sausage dogs that are very naughty. I'm really into my gaming. I grew up playing PlayStation and I really enjoy that. Some of my favorite games are Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. I also really enjoy getting into gardening. I've got a bit of a garden here in the backyard, and I also grow my own veggies and salad. And with that, I haven't put a pic here, but I'm really into my cooking as well, and obviously cooking from scratch. And that's me.
Oh, wow.
And I'll hand back
that's
to
next
Peter.
level. That's like university level compared to where I'm at. but I'm going to be a soldier and I'm going to make it happen. Okay, guys. So what I want to do is just get a better sense of you. We've told you a little bit about us, and we will happily answer more questions in future lessons about kind of, our background and what we think about maths. If we've already asked you where you are in the country, and what's awesome about this format is that literally all over South Africa, we can come together and practice our maths on a Monday at 5 o'clock and on a Wednesday at 5 o'clock. And so I really love that we can all be together and we're not separated by the physical kind of world. And so I think that is fantastic. And we see that amongst us, we have people from around the country. What I would like to know now is the following. If you had someone wrote you a blank check and you could go to one place in the world on a free trip, I would love to know where you would go. So, and I'll tell you where I would go after I've seen some of the, and Anya, I'm sure you can let us know where you'd go, but I'd love to hear from the students. If you had someone said, look, I'm going to write you a blank check. I'm going to pay for one trip to anywhere in the world. You can go for 2 weeks. And where would you go? Tomisho, UK, London, Motondwe, South Korea, Fumzile, Berlin, in Germany. Oh, interesting. I know, it's the best thing kind of planning your dream holiday. Wanga, Paris, Dubai, UAE, Lasedi. Very nice. Paris or Japan? Japan is also beautiful, I've heard. I haven't been. Okay. Paris. Paris is meant to be the most popular tourist city in the world. Hawaii, that's lovely. South Korea. Are the South Korea people, are you big K-pop fans? Lots of Hawaiis. Oh, this is fantastic, guys. I hope that you all have the chance to travel to your dream destinations. K-pop fans, lots of Colombia. Okay, so guys, where would I go? I'm a huge tennis fan, and so so I would 2 places. I would either go to London, the UK. I've been before, but I love to go to Wimbledon again to watch the tennis tournament, or I'd love to go hiking in Japan. Those are my dream places. Anya, where would you want to go?
Yeah, so many places, but we would definitely like to go to Japan. I think Japan is a big place, especially if you're into like anime, and I think it's just a beautiful country on its own, with its own culture, and I just think the food looks amazing, so I'd love to go there. Okay, cool. All right, so hopefully all of us get to go on our dream holidays one day, and yeah, it's a lovely activity, and thank you guys for participating in that. So what I want to do now is I want to get to the topic of today's lesson. It's kind of taken a while, but I think it's always good to take the time to get to know everyone in the environment, especially when we're online. It's lovely to get a feel for who we're working with, and over time we'll get to know each other quite well. Now, the topic or the unit is a 6-lesson unit on whole numbers, and this very first lesson is about the topic of classifying numbers. And, classifying numbers, sort of recognizing different types of numbers. And what I said when I was preparing this is I said, look, if I look around me, numbers seem to be all around and they get used in a lot of places. Like if I look around, and I kind of got these pictures. So, this is an athletics track, and the athletics track has numbers. A calendar has numbers, but they have particular types of numbers. And so these are actually, the numbers that we're using here on the calendar and the athletics track are what's called the natural numbers, but we'll talk more about that a little bit later. Could you put in the chat, how many different types of numbers do you know about? So I'd love to get a feel for what numbers have you guys heard about? You've had 7 years of schooling, because you're going into grade 8 now. What numbers have you come across? What names for numbers? Just give me a whole chat stream kind of, what words come up. So have you heard of things like natural numbers? What words have you heard about that? Because I think numbers are all around us, but we don't really often talk about what types of numbers are there.
We have prime numbers. Okay, absolutely. Let me write these down as we go. So we have prime numbers, a collection, a natural number, integers. That's an interesting word. Integers, absolutely. Fantastic.
We also have
Decimals.
whole numbers.
Oh, fantastic. So decimals, we have
composite is the last one.
Whole numbers, composite numbers, improper fractions. So I think you'll agree there's quite a lot of different types of numbers. And it sometimes can be confusing as to, variables. Yeah, variables are kind of a type of number. What else have I've got decimals, improper numbers. Have you guys heard of a number called fractions? Okay, guys, fantastic. So in this first unit, we are going to concentrate on a particular set of numbers called the whole numbers, and they're a collection of numbers. All of these numbers are also a collection of numbers. So certain numbers are prime and certain numbers are not prime. Certain numbers are integers, certain numbers are not integers. And we're going to try and make sure we really understand this first collection called whole numbers today, and then move from there going forward. And we'll touch on all these different types of numbers as we go. But really the goal is to understand whole numbers and what we do with them properly. So I want to put here, I'm going to respond to my own question. How do we represent or communicate these different types of numbers? So you may not have heard of this before, but different collections of numbers have symbols. And so if we want to talk about the whole numbers, and we want to talk about the natural numbers, well, let's first make sure we know what they are, and then let's see what symbol is used for them. So the whole numbers start at 0, and then it's 1, and then 2, 3, and all the whole numbers, the numbers without fractions. The natural numbers actually start at 1, and then 2, and then 3. Now, sometimes the natural numbers are also called, this is not that important, but it's worth putting out there. Sometimes they're called the counting numbers. Why do you think they're called the counting numbers? So just to kind of keep this together, these guys are pretty much the same thing. This is a bigger set. Why do you think we call these the counting numbers? In fact, I'd love to hear someone's voice if they feel brave enough to pop on, or you can put it in the chat. Why do you think we call these numbers 1, 2, 3 the counting numbers?
I think it's because we start counting at 1 and we don't start with 0. Some people start counting with 0, but I start counting with 1s. That's why I think they're called natural numbers or counting numbers.
So yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And so basically, because we count from 1, we start at 1, not 0, we call them the counting numbers. The natural numbers, because they came first, we started by counting like 1, 2, 3. The concept of 0 only came along later. Kind of the Indians, as far as I know, invented it. The idea of nothingness as a number. And so you're quite right. And so there's a symbol that we use. You'll see that the symbol for these numbers is just an N with an extra line here, 0. So in future, as we start to talk about different numbers, numbers will get their own, it's almost like their superhero sign, maybe I'm dragging it out a bit, but basically there's a symbol that we can use. And if you tell a mathematician, they will know what that is, that it's the collection of numbers starting at 0 without any fractions and then counting up in 1s. Okay. So give me a thumbs up if that made sense to you, and give me a thumbs down if you feel like, maybe I could slow down a bit or something. So hit that like button or that thumbs button if you feel, okay, I get this, and thumbs down if you're like, Maybe slow down a little bit. Let's get a sense of the group, how you guys are feeling.
All seems good so far. Everyone's pretty much on it.
Give you a moment more. Okay. Up. Okay. That a miss. I want us to just quickly have a look at this drawing. Let's do this. Okay. So these are the things that you need to be aware of going forward for the study of numbers. Some sets of numbers are bigger than the others, and we draw this in a diagram. So this diagram is showing you inside the small circle, these are the natural numbers, and the whole numbers are a superset. They contain the natural numbers. And so this is kind of called a Venn diagram, and we often use it when we talk about number collections. Okay, so this is just often we use it when we talk about numbers. Now, I'm sure all of you have seen number lines before, but number lines will also have an important role to play. And so we will talk about number lines. And if you think about number lines, our whole numbers start at 0, and then they leave a space between them, and we keep going on forever. And we can illustrate this on a number line. Now, a future question to think about is what are the numbers between those, which we will talk about later. Okay, let us do this thing quickly. I want you guys, in your books, because I've spoken a lot, I want you to compare these sets of whole numbers, and I want you to use what's called the crocodile mouth symbol. So the crocodile mouth, which I think most of you will have seen, but if you haven't, you put the open mouth facing the bigger number. So the number that would be further along to the right on the number line. So the first one, I would put my crocodile mouth going like that because 362 is bigger than 173. And I want to just give you 2 minutes, let's get 3 minutes, to just make sure you know how to use the crocodile mouth symbol, because that's also going to come up in this lesson series. Okay, guys? So 2 minutes, and then once you have done that, will you give us a thumbs up in the chat, please? So if you're struggling, these second two numbers do look quite similar, but the main thing to look at is that each number has columns where we have the units place, the tens place, and the hundreds place. And you can clearly see, even though the hundreds place is the same, the tens place is different. And so, oh, excuse me, we should have the crocodile mouth going there. Now, what do we do for 567 and 567? I'll leave that to you. Can we use the crocodile mouth, or do we need to use something different? So Anya, while the students are working, is there anything that I need to be aware of, or any comments or questions in the live feed?
No, everything's fine. We've got a few hands here. We've got Annalisa, Wetu, Mutonda, Chulu, Winile, Zizakele. Everyone's pretty much on it. Well done, guys. Keep it up. We've got a few thumbs up on the side as well. Keep it up, guys. And then on the screen itself, it's fine. I see you've made the font a bit thinner, so it's easier to see. All seems good.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Thanks, Anya. Okay, so the second one is actually going to be an equal sign because the relationship between these two is they're the same. And then the next one is going to be going like that. The crocodile mouth is going to that side. The next one is going to be a crocodile mouth going like that. Then there's going to be a crocodile mouth going like that, like this, like that, like that, like that, like that, and then finally like that. So yeah, we call these greater than signs or less than signs, depending on which way they're going. And they're an important symbol in mathematics that we use to talk about the relationships between numbers. All of these numbers here are whole numbers, and we're comparing them as we go. Okay, so now, just some other important things about our number system. I want us to vote now. Our number system that we use, and this is a whole number, is a placeholder number system. So the place the number has means something special. So I want you to, the ones digit, identify the one number. Oh wait, let's leave this one actually out. Let's do this one. I want you to write this number 3256 in expanded form. And in fact, could you write it in the chat? I can't see you. Is it normal to only hear a voice? Ted, you should be seeing the video feed on your thing. So you should be seeing a video feed. And for everybody else, what I would like is I'd like you to write this number in expanded form. And then once you've done that, I want you to write it in the chat. I want to see if you guys know what expanded form means. Okay, coming through. So if you take the number 3,256, it breaks down into 3,000 for this place here, plus 200, plus 50, plus 6. And so that's why we call it a placeholder number system, because the place matters. The place to the left is a thousands place, and then it's a hundreds, and then it's tens, and then it's units. And if we put an extra 0 on the end, let's do that actually. So all of you have got this correct. What if I change the number now to this? Can you still write that for me in expanded notation? I'd like to see that written in the chat from my students. So how would we write 30? Well, I won't say it because I know that's part of what you have to do. How do I take this number and write it in expanded form? Because it looks almost the same. All I did was add a 0 on the end. What does it mean if I put a 0 on the end? So I'll wait a moment or two more. I want to see a few answers in the chat. Can you type it in expanded form for me in the chat there? Or where to? I see answers coming in there. I think I see that you understand placeholder very nicely. So the one sneak in, this was quite sneaky of me, is that actually now in the units place, there's a 0. In the tens place, there's a 6, which is 60. In the hundreds place, there's now a 5, so 500. Then it's 2,000. And then this extra one is going to be 30,000. And so when we write out this number in expanded form, when we really look at what does the place actually mean, that's what it means. Now, this is, I love taking the same question and remixing it. I'm a remix math teacher. What if, I'll give you a moment actually let me just get rid of this first. What if I now decide, instead of putting a 0 at the back, I'm going to put a 0 at the front. Could you write that number for me in expanded notation? Do we know what that number looks like in expanded form? I'd love to hear someone's voice. I know today's been a bit of a, like there hasn't been that much talking, but if anybody's feeling brave enough, I'd love to hear someone's voice offer us an explanation about what this 0 does over here. If you put your hand up, we can let you talk. And yeah, is anybody
No,
putting your
we've
hand
got no hands up. So guys, if you want to speak, and I just ask if you just raise your hand and then I'll give the floor to you. I've got, no, Susanna's up and down with her mic. Is there anyone that would like to maybe mention their answer to Sir and not in the text?
Okay. Not the end of the world. In the next lesson, we'll definitely give you more time to kind of hear each other's voices. It's always nice to hear the voices, but basically what the 0 does here is actually, the 0 in front has to play. Oh, is someone
Ted would like to share his answer.
Ted, give us a rundown of what you think the 0 does.
Sir, the answer is 300,000 plus 2,000 plus 500 plus 60 plus 0.
Okay, so I think, Ted, were you talking about the blue one or the green one?
Sir, I cannot see the screen because I only see the screen is not, I cannot see you, sir.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so I think you were talking about the blue one, which is, it's going to be 30,000 plus, sorry, it's going to be 30,000 plus 2,000 plus,
500, sir.
500 plus 60. Now, the green one, what I wanted to do was just show you that this 0 doesn't matter at all in front, and that this would be 3,000 plus 200 plus 50 plus 6. So the 0 in front actually doesn't really make a difference, but the 0 at the end does. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do is in the next lesson, we're going to look at applying operations with whole numbers and how to describe them. And so our next lesson really today has been about getting to know each other and just getting a feel for this environment. I think you've all done incredibly well, so a huge shout out to you. And yeah, it's been nice just to get a feel for you guys. And then on Wednesday, we will meet up again at 5 o'clock and we'll start promptly. But before we finish, we're going to finish with a little poll, which will go through Zoom. But I'd just love for you guys to, give a sense of how you felt about the lesson. So give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Give us like a medium face, but it was like, okay, it was all right. Give us some emoji love in the chat. And then Anya, if I could ask you to please send out the Zoom poll that we kind of did earlier on. But I just want to get a feel for you guys.
So the poll is live. Just while the poll is live, guys, so I'll someone take the question over. So we would just like to know about how you guys feel about this lesson. Give us a 1 if you think it didn't really help. 2, it was okay. 3 is like a good. 4 is like, this is top, guys. Well done. So, and then just while we at it, guys, I see some of you are joining the chat quite late, or not the chat, but the call. Please, you need to be on 5 o'clock sharp. We start at 5. All right, I'll hand it back to Sir.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, so guys, I'm going to say that, like today it was really nice to get to see you all. It was nice to get a feel for the space again. It's been about 6 weeks, I think, since I've taught a lesson with you on the Watobe platform. And I really enjoyed the process of kind of getting my class going for the year, and I look forward to teaching you. I'm actually going to head off now to my next class, but I just want you to please fill in the poll and then I will see you on Wednesday. So a good night to you. And then Anya will stay on the line to answer any other questions for maybe 2 or 3 more minutes. But I'm going to end for now. And then Anya, if you could just take a screenshot of the poll results, and we will go from there.
Perfect, will do.
Okay. Cheers, guys. I hope you have a great evening. Well done for joining us and for kind of just being proactive about improving and getting good at your maths this year. I will see you on Wednesday.